Today we're going to talk about whether trauma affects your creativity. Stay tuned. Someone wrote me just this morning with this question. Hey Linda, I have a question for you that maybe you can answer in a YouTube video. Can trauma block creativity? I asked because I had a good ugly cry today and almost immediately after had a flood of ideas and some mojo to attack them. Whereas I've been struggling in this area for a few weeks. I just wanted to drop that here before I forgot. Interested in hearing your take. Yes, absolutely. Your creativity is who you are. It's tied to who you are. See, in Jeremiah, the Lord told Jeremiah that before he was formed in his mother's womb, before he was even conceived, that he knew him and had called him to a certain purpose. That's not just for Jeremiah. That's us. See, God doesn't create a thing unless he's got a specific purpose for it. So he's not willy-nilly throwing crap out in the universe for no reason just because he can. And so when he created each of us, it was for a particular purpose. But this is the greatest news out of all of that. We came here with what I call our spiritual birthright. We came here with all the tools, the abilities, the talents, natural bents, even right down to the person you truly are orchestrated specifically for the purpose for which you're in the earth. Okay? Now, just follow me here. So if your spiritual birthright, look at it like a toolkit. Let's say you got a toolkit, you got not a toolbox. It could be a toolbox, tool bag, whatever the heck it is. Let's say that you come here with this toolkit, and in it is every tool you need along your life purpose. Everything that you are and need to be, including your creativities, which will go to what your natural abilities and talents are. Now, consider this. We come here like that, everything we need to be for that purpose. But life comes along and twists us up. You get an abuse there, a hurt there, a pain there, a loss there, grief here, abuse. And what that does is that twists us or morphs us out of who we truly are. So it gets twisted. Now, with each getting twisted out of who we are, our tools become a little less powerful. So when you go through life and you got one pain after another pain after another pain piled on another pain, and you're just going through life traumatized and have not walked through the process of healing, then your tools get duller and duller and duller. So you can still use those tools. Look, take me for instance. Everything I ever accomplished occurred in the middle of personal chaos. My whole life was crumbling all around me. And I've got stuff like my undergrad thesis led to an ex-offender program in the community, and the first time Prison Fellowship ever issued the new initiative grant to an outside partnership. Okay, I've got walking up into Studio A at Universal Recording Studios, totally traumatized, young kid in my 20s, didn't have enough sense to know that you're not supposed to just walk into Universal Recording Studios and just avail yourself of any recording session that's going on in there. I didn't know that, but I walked into that and wound up what? 3 of my songs were recorded by the Shy Lights, who did Oh Girl, Have You Seen Her? That kind of stuff. Those kind of things were things that were accomplished while I was traumatized. Totally toe up from the flow up. Now, those things came out of who I was. But get this, as more trauma and more trauma got piled on, it's been ages since I've written any lyrics. Ages since I've written any lyrics. I could try to conjure up, and it's just like anvils falling out of me. Just, you say a word and the word comes out of your mouth like a little metal anvil and just clink, clink. Yeah. So you can function, let's put it like that. You can function even in your trauma to some degree. But that trauma is going to seep out somewhere. And one of the ways that it seeps out is that you can't be as creative as you once were. Story time. As I was writing the book, Whose Apple Is It Anyway? My sister had called me December 17th, 2005, just out of the blue and said, Linda, you're going to write a book, but here's the catch. That book will only progress as you heal. Now, I'm hearing all of this. Sounds good to me. Please give me some kind of doggone healing, because this crap that I'm going on, this little ride I'm on, I'm ready to get off. 7 years of writing that book. 7 whole years. 7 years and 6 days to be exact. Now, as I began on this writing journey, and I talk about some in the book, I'll put a link below to the audio book example. So there's a little clip you can listen to from the audio book. As I wrote this book, I would get these writer's blocks. And I mean, a writer's block could last anywhere from a month to 6 months, however long it lasted. But what I knew looking back on that was that every time I got a writer's block, it was because it was another layer of healing that I had to shed. Another layer I had to take off of this person I'd become as a result of the trauma. One of those was my boyfriend and I had this strange game we played. See, I would always love tripping him out, telling him about something I'd gone through. And generally, we would talk about it and wind up laughing about it. Well, one day I told him, I said, you know, one time this guy raped me, just sodomized me till I was bleeding. And he said, well, did you go to the doctor? And I was shocked. Go to the doctor? Never crossed my mind. Now, this rape had occurred 30 years before. And I'm shocked. Go to the doctor? That never crossed my mind. So then I just pulled myself up, went back into my tough girl mode and said, why would I go to the doctor and tell him I did something that stupid? And he didn't say anything at that time. Weeks passed. And one day we were talking on the phone and he said, Linda, now this guy did not cuss. He did not cuss. He had a piece of work. Okay, but he didn't cuss. And he said, Linda, when you said that way back then, I wanted to tell you that's effed up. But he said the word, okay? And he said, because Linda, that rape was not your fault. It wasn't your fault. When are you going to let the person who raped you own his wrong? You didn't deserve that. And then he told me, see, and I don't know how he knew this, had this much insight into me, but because we never really talked about my childhood. And he said, see, you were raised, you know, when little boys run to daddy, when they're little boys, daddy might give them a little hug and look at the hurt and slap on the butt and say, man up and go on and play. He said, but if little girls get hurt growing up, then they run to mommy or daddy and they get coddled and loved on and poor baby. He said, you apparently were socialized like a man. And it made sense because the whole time in my early 20s and everything, I never had girlfriends. Never had girlfriends. When my last husband and we got married like in 85. When we first started dating back at like 84 or so, he said, your phone never rings. Nope. Never rings. I was able to make friends with guys, and I'm not talking about every male friendship I had turned romantic. Wasn't even about that. But I just thought more like a man. I got along with men better. And I didn't have time for the little chibi, you know, coffee clutches and gossiping and backdoor jealousies and stuff. I didn't have time for that catty mess. Now, I said all that to say this. Anytime I was traumatized and I was raped like that, okay, and then I didn't want to tell her, what did I do? I took on shame. I took on feeling like it was my fault, feeling like I deserved it. And this was after I got a master's of social work and advanced clinical therapy, okay, just so you know, I wasn't seeing that my life was playing out on the pages of those textbooks, okay? And once I understood, okay, wait a minute. So, all right, I didn't deserve it. So I had to make a decision as to, okay, in that incident, at what point did my responsibility begin and end? And at what point did the event become his responsibility for him to have to own that? And what I determined was that from the point where I invited that guy over to the point where the rape began was only my responsibility. But I couldn't keep beating myself up for that because I didn't know I was a freaking rapist when I invited that joker over. And then I had to own that from the point where the rape began to the point where he walked out without a word and left me bleeding was all his doing. I didn't deserve that rape just because I was naive. I didn't deserve that rape because I didn't know he was a rapist. So once I understood that, okay, where my responsibility in that began and ended, and understood that for him raping me is his bad, and I didn't have to own that shame, then I felt better. I got better, and what must have been weeks-long writer's block completely ended. And I went right back to writing again. I told you that story so you could see how shedding pain and shedding things, healing from trauma is not turn on a dime. And this may be hard to get or to accept, but when we go through trauma, it changes us. We have progressed, and supervisor, we have progressed, and now that can become a part of our experiences, but it doesn't have to become who we are. So yes, creativity can get dulled and go down to an ember, but because that's something that God has given you, he is not going to change that. The gifts that he give us as far as our purpose and everything are without repentance. In other words, he's not going to take it away from us because that's who we are. So the person who sent me as you can see, the person who sent this question in, they were saying that they had just gotten done with an ugly cry, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, everything came forward. Well, that makes sense. So what must have occurred when she was in that position where she was crying, she was coming through and shedding a layer of trauma. Shedding a layer of trauma. Layer after layer like an onion. Peeling back layers just like that. That's how it happened to me during the 7 years I was writing the book. So thank you so much for sending that question in. You guys keep the questions coming. I have some in the coffers here. I think I might just do one individual question per video, and we'll just get this rolling. If you have any other questions for me, put them in the comments below. And always remember, your greatest power is realized in the truth of who you are. Know that truth. Hey, if you like what you see here today, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we upload, and like and share the video. Thanks.